Hey, everybody. Welcome to another edition of NasCard Radio. This is your pal, Val. This is episode number 27. With me today is the amazing Jason. Jason, how are you today, sir?
Hey, Val. I'm doing pretty well. I'm glad to be back. It's been a little while because of life stuff, but I'm glad we're doing it again.
Yeah, it is great to have you back. I'm sure everybody agrees with me. It's always, life gets in the way of all this stuff. If we can just get some really big sponsors and we can do this full time, that would be awesome. You were going to say something?
No, I just said seriously. That would help a lot. I would have to not worry about some stuff. That would help.
Yeah, it'd be awesome. So we'll see if we can get picked up and get syndicated here, right? So we are back. We in the Cup level, we had some cutoff races. If everybody's not familiar with it, NASCAR is a little different. Well, it is and it isn't by the other sports. We start off with a list of 16 drivers. If you win, you're in. And then during the playoffs, the standings or the positions get eliminated. So the cream rises to the top for the last four drivers will have a chance at the championship at the last weekend at Phoenix. Other drivers still get the race, and other people can win the race, but whoever finishes highest of the final four wins the championship. So we had an elimination race here at Charlotte in the Roval, where we went from 12 drivers down to 8. Xfinity the same way. It was kind of interesting. Folks getting very frustrated. I don't know if you saw Clint Boyer. He was one of the ones eliminated, but he lost his power steering in his car on a road race. He looked like he didn't have an ounce of energy left. So he gave it the hard fight to try not to get eliminated. But he wasn't alone. Austin Dillon, Eric Almirola, and Kyle Busch were eliminated, which Kyle Busch is the one that sticks out there, not having won a race this season. I think with the new with limited practice or no practice, it definitely hurt his team this year or getting the car dialed in just right. But Kevin Harvick, Denny Hamlin, Brad Keselowski, Joey Logano, Chase Elliott, Martin Truex, and Alex Bowman, and Kurt Busch move on. And what's interesting about these rounds, if you win, you totally advance. So Kurt Busch was in the last place, but he scored a win, so he was able to secure his moving on to the next round. And Chase Elliott won this one at the Roval in Charlotte. It's going to be interesting here in the next 3 weeks to see which one of these 8 will, the 8 will become 4, and one of these 8 will become the champion. And we have 2 drivers in here who have never won a championship, Alex Bowman and Chase Elliott. Everybody else has at least won one. Oh, I take that back, and Denny Hamlin. So we have 3. Denny is definitely overdue of all the drivers. So, and I've seen a little movement on Kevin Harvick. Some of his stuff is 2000 SP Authentic. His autographs that's his first year of autographs. His rookies are in 1999. And I'm embarrassed to kind of say this, but his autographs are like $30.
Yeah, that seems like a crazy number. Seems way too low.
Yeah, Chase Elliott, his early stuff, 2011, his autographs can go up there, into the 100 or more. And then he's got limited stuff. Truex, Bowman, Kurt Busch is also in that 2000 SP Authentic. He's also low. So, I guess Chase Elliott is really the biggest name that is probably more expensive than the rest of them. But Brad and Denny, their rookie years, it's one of the reasons why I collect NASCAR. And I think NASCAR is starting to get a little bit more exposure. I'm getting some messages from folks asking about NASCAR and stuff. So it's going to be interesting. Always fun time this time of year, getting into the playoffs. I'm sure with the other sports the same way. So Xfinity, they're doing the same thing over there. So in the Xfinity series, they're eliminating drivers as well, and so they have their round of 8 with Chase Briscoe. He's got 8 wins. Austin Cindric, 5 wins. Justin Allgaier, 3 wins so far. Noah Graskin, 2 wins. Justin Haley, 2 wins. Brendan Jones, 3 wins. Ross Chastain, and Ryan Sieg. I think Chase Briscoe is probably the one to beat. Of course, Austin Cedric's right there with him, so I think it's probably maybe one of those two. Because I'd love to see Justin Allgaier. He's been around for some time in Cup and Xfinity. He's kind of settled into the Xfinity for junior motorsports. So, and of course, I love Noah Graskin. I think he's good for the sport. He's a good character. He's got 2 wins, but like in Cup, if one of these wins here in these last couple of races get them guaranteed into that Final 4. So, and I don't know. I don't know, Jason. Have we talked about with? I'm sure we haven't. With all the new stuff going on for next year with Michael Jordon coming into the sport.
We haven't, and I saw that, and I'm excited, but at the same time, I'm not. For some reason, I'm not surprised. I know. Correct me if I'm wrong, but he's been a sponsor for a while, correct? Like the Jordan brand has sponsored some drivers for a while, or maybe just one, but.
So I think Jordan sponsored Denny Hamlin, and I think that's where their relationship started.
Right.
To your point, but I think he's been a very small, I would say maybe an advertiser, not necessarily a car owner or anything other than, like Tide or Budweiser or something getting Panini, getting on the hood or whatever. So,
right, he's been a logo on a suit, not a whole car wrap.
Right, and then you have minority shareholders or car owners, and I think he's going to be the majority because they mentioned that he'll be the last majority car owner, African-American, was Wendell Scott, so back in 73. So I wasn't sure in the beginning what kind of level he was going to be at. But it seems pretty serious with Denny Hamlin, which is smart. Looks like Denny got a way to maybe transition after he's done racing. But use his connections because they'll be tied to Joe Gibbs, I'm assuming Toyota, and then they're buying the charter membership from Germain Racing, which what that means is they get all the owner points. So if me and you started a team and had a driver, they would have to go out and qualify for every race. But because you own the charter, you get their results and their points. So Bubba Wallace, who'd be their driver, will not need to qualify for the races. They're pretty much guaranteed a start in every race.
Okay.
So I'm super excited for that. I think that brings in people who love basketball, maybe give NASCAR a look or a second look between Jordan and then with Haley Deegan, which we had talked just before, that she is running in the ARCA series right now, but she will be running truck at Kansas this weekend coming up. And she had mentioned that her folks told her folks being not her parents, but I guess her core or whatever, that she needs to drive Kansas so that she can run truck next year, either partial schedule or full time. We're not sure yet, but this is awesome. It will definitely make, it's hard not to hope that she does well, but I think she can qualify. If she can finish the race, that would be a huge, huge thing because truck from ARCA is a big deal, I think, because they're not going to be in ARCA. They don't pit during the race or have live pits. So, this will get her real life experience, eventually trying to get to the Cup. So I'm super excited to see that. I'm sure everybody else is. So this will bring a whole bunch of eyes to NASCAR.
Hey, let's go back to the Jordan thing for a minute because,
of course,
the one thing we didn't talk about was, does that mean anything for cards? I don't know what his contract is with Upper Deck, but I would assume that, I don't know how to say this, but I would assume that Panini, when this news came out, immediately started looking for any type of way to get Jordan into any racing product. I don't know if it's possible because of the uproar that came about earlier this year with that basketball card that had Jordan in the background that was a Panini card. So I don't know if it's possible, but could you imagine Jordan, I'm sure autographs wouldn't be possible, but like even a Jordan base card in, 2021 Prizm Racing or something like that. Like, I would hope that at some point, whether it's next year, 2 or 3 years down the road, that they can get him in some type of product, even if it's a national promotion only exclusive or something. But my first thought, of course, was how can they get him in any sort of racing set?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I'm wondering, the lawsuit that's going back and forth, it's all on basketball cards. I can definitely see now Panini doing a owner's cards or something like that, because then unless Upper Deck has the right to his image and not basketball image, that's probably the only way they wouldn't be able to. But I would think that there'd be opportunities there. I'm sure they are working hard. I'll have to see if we can get somebody from Panini to talk about that. But I think there's definitely opportunity.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a reason that he hasn't been in any sort of Panini basketball set, which seems like ever. And I'm sure it would surprise me if that, and I don't want to go completely off topic talking about basketball cards, but the whole Jordan in the background image of that card, it would surprise me if that wasn't on purpose as a test run to see if Upper Deck would let it slide or if there would be an issue, and obviously there's an issue. But there has to be a reason that he hasn't been in any Panini basketball set that's come out. So I would imagine the Upper Deck has him pretty well locked up, but with it being racing, was he only excluded from any sort of basketball products? What was his contract? Did it allow him, by virtue of omission, in the contract, did they not think that he would ever be a racing owner? Is he allowed to be in, a racing set because they didn't do the contract well enough? So it'll be interesting to see what happens and if there's any sort of loopholes that Panini can work around. Obviously we had the issues, so hopefully something can get worked out.
So I want to ask you your opinion on this, but I think there is an opportunity because they put Haynes put out a set.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was thinking as well.
But they didn't use any NBA logos, I don't believe.
Right. And there were autographs in those, albeit extremely limited.
10. Yeah. So I'm holding out hope that maybe they'll put a Chase Jordan in or put in owners or do something. Maybe I was thinking like pit road photographs and have them in there. So one of the usual things is the owners are there at the tracks. So does that mean Jordan will be going to some of these tracks and walking around in the pits? Hopefully post COVID. So it just definitely brings a buzz. If Bubba Wallace, if he can do well, finish well, he's with Richard Petty Motorsports now, and they're a very small team. But if Denny Hamlin can pull off kind of like what Tony Stewart did, where he's going out on his own, but he also has like Tony had alliances with Hendrick with Joe Gibbs in the beginning. So using that alliance and getting some of that engineering info to finish well before they break ties, would be awesome to have the team doing well and competing for championships, right, and winning races as opposed to kind of where Bubba Wallace is now. So, that was probably the biggest news. There's some other folks moving around with Hendrick removing the 88 from their lineup, and so they'll have a new number coming out here Alex Bowman moves over to the 48, vacated by Jimmy Johnson retiring. And then I think Jimmy Johnson, is he driving Indy or F1? But I don't know if you saw that Topps now has F1, and they're doing an F1 Topps now.
Certainly did.
Did or did not?
Did, yep.
Yeah, I didn't pick up any. I definitely looked at them hard with everything going on. So it's interesting to see Topps getting into the Topps now and the F1. I think they have a low and a higher-end product. I'm still hoping that Panini will bring back that Panini Instant. I haven't heard any rumblings with that.
It's one of those things where people can complain about the online exclusives. You know, some of them are a little pricey, one card for $10. You know, I get it. But from a company standpoint, it's an awesome way to test out a product. You know, no Target, no Walmart, I can only imagine no hobby dealer is going to want to carry hobby boxes of F1 racing. It's just, you know, you look at NASCAR, there's 5 products a year. It's a tough sell in a lot of regions of the United States, but it's one of those things where licenses are so important to these companies and getting the exclusives. I mean, Topps is even doing some sort of women's softball league, you know, and it's one of those things, these stores aren't going to carry the products, so it's a great way for them to test it out online. And they sold, and I don't know the number, but it was in the thousands of that first F1 card. Now, I don't know if it was like, you know, people jumping on it to speculate that it was going to be a low print run, because I know one guy that did, but it's perfect for the companies. You know, like the Topps T206 baseball set, you know, it's a great outlet for them to test products or test brands and licenses and get these smaller sets where, you know, nobody else is going to want to carry it. So I think it's great. I'm not an F1 fan, but it's one of those, if you are, you finally have something that you can collect and you can buy. So hopefully they continue it for a while, add some stuff to it, maybe some relics and whatever, and continue. But I'm just glad to see some of these new things coming out, and I'm glad Topps tried it. You know, kudos to them.
Yeah, no, I'm super excited. You know, any racing product is good. I think there's just with the craziness and all the other sports.
Right.
I think that NASCAR racing in general, of course, the F1, I guess, well, their lower price point is not that far off of the NASCAR releases. So, and to one of the things you were saying, you know, these on demand, you only have to do 1, 2, or 3 cards a week, like they're doing, instead of a 100-card series.
Right.
You know, that takes a lot of time to, you know, do all those cards, and I guess it's like a 6-month lead window for all of that, and get it packaged and get it into the distribution stream, where on demand, you know, you're only doing a few photos, a few licenses, you know, copyrights, whatever it is for the cards. You're printing it up and you're shipping it. And I guess to your point, you can definitely see demand for it. But I think, you know, they're bargains. Racing in general is a bargain compared to some of the other sports and the craziness. So I'm just excited, you know, racing in general, even though I'm not an F1 fan, I'll definitely look at it. And, you know, if the competition with Panini and Topps helps the collector, then, you know, it can't be bad.
Yeah, totally agree on that.
One of the things I wanted to talk about was, because racing isn't readily available and you need to, the chase for some of these cards or, you know, the collectibles you want, you kind of need to be a little bit crafty. And I'm not sure if everybody is aware of, like, and one of the places that most people go is eBay and do an eBay search. So I have some eBay searches set up, and that allows me to get an email if I want it. Usually comes in the morning for keywords that I'm looking for. So if you go on, like, eBay, under My eBay, you have your saved searches. And I have stuff like 1983 Uno as one of my saved. maybe 88 Max, 2000 SP, stuff like that. Because some of these show up in some of them, like I have Garage Graph. So 2008 Speedway, I think they had Garage Graph. They're really cool designed. It's like 4 or 5 of the crew chiefs have cards, and then there's combos with the crew chief and the driver. So the Jimmy Johnson Chad Knaus is probably one of the keys. So that's something you don't see all the time, but using the save search and with email allows me to get that and kind of hone in on some of the things that I'm looking for. Jason, do you use the eBay save searches?
Yeah, I have a ton. I feel like a ton, 40 or 50, because it definitely helps with the things that are never going to pop up, the stuff that you don't want to waste time looking for every day. But one thing I found out a little while ago is you can do email or text notifications, and the text notifications actually arrive. I don't know if it's as soon as the item is listed or, shortly after, but the text will actually come hours before the email. Because like you said, the emails typically come in the morning, 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, at least Eastern. But you should get a text shortly after the item is posted. So the text notification is actually quicker. And I know for a fact I've missed out on stuff because I had something set up for an email notification and not a text, and by the time I got the email, it was already gone. And when you're talking something that's rare, a one-of-one, something like that, you definitely want to set it up for text.
I did not know that. That's awesome.
Yeah, I think you can do one or the other or both, but don't quote me on that. But if you go in through the app, you can go through and change those to whichever one you want.
See, I'm I guess old school. I've been using eBay for the last 20 years or whatever. It's been on the computer. I haven't made that big transition to the app. Sometimes I look at it, but I'll have to investigate on the app. But I've used that to find definitely some stuff that is harder to find. Because I don't know about you, but sometimes if I find stuff, either auction or whatever, and I miss it for whatever reason, or I find it, check it out, get the email, go to the item and look at it, but don't place a bid, and then forget about it, which, then there's no hope at all. But then right. When it gets relisted, somebody else always bids on it, that second time of seeing it. So I don't know if you've had that luck, but that seems to be my luck.
So actually my wife and I were just talking about something the other day, and I don't want to say it's a tip that works all the time, but it seems to work at least half the time. We've both noticed that if you go to an item and favorite the item or add it to your watch list or whatever you want to call it, typically that seller, and granted this is a buy it now item, not an auction item, typically that seller will send you an offer for less. Now, I've had some sellers send offers for like 5% less, and, at that point, sometimes it's not even worth checking into it. But I've actually had some send offers like 30 or 40% off, and it's like, well, heck yeah, I'll do this in a heartbeat, especially if maybe you just saved something to, get it in a couple hours because you're busy at that moment or, whatever, and then that person sends you a deal. You're winning both ways because you found what you wanted and you're getting it for a price that is lower than what you were already going to pay, So it actually happened to me the other day. My son just got an original Nintendo, and I thought, I want to go get a game that I played as a kid. And we had family at the house, and something was going on or whatever, and I saved the item, and it was like $10. And within a couple hours, somebody sent me an offer for 25% off, which is, $250. And I thought, well, sure, yeah, I'll take it now because I was already going to buy it. I just was busy. So, I just saved a couple bucks by waiting and being busy for a couple hours. So that's something that we've noticed. If you go add it to your watch list, a lot of times you'll get a better price if you hold out for a couple hours. Now, of course, there's a negative to that. If you wait for an offer, somebody else can snatch it up before you. But, add it to your watch list and see if you can save a couple bucks.
Yeah, that's a great point. I have noticed that as well. As a buyer and a seller, I've noticed that, I can either revise my auction and lower the price, or you can send an offer. But, that now that you brought it up, it's a great point that I have gone out there and seen something, and maybe like I'm on the fence, like, it's right at the line there, but,
right.
I'm kind of maybe one of those guys like, well, if you're going to discount it, then I'm going to buy it. If you're going to give it away, I'll take it, kind of a thing, right? As opposed to, well, it's right there on the fence, and, should I buy it? Shouldn't I buy it? And to your point, if it's something that is not like a one-on-one or whatever, and you do take the chance of losing out on it, but some of that stuff is like, well, at that price I can, take it or leave it, and yeah, it doesn't really do anything, doesn't cost you anything to watch that item.
Not at all.
And it lets, when the sellers go in and they look, well, maybe this has been out there and hasn't got any traction, or they want to really move it. eBay is kind of like going to the card shop. When I look at an auction, I actually go out and look at what they're selling besides what I'm looking for. Like, is it somebody like, all right, so let's go with basketball. You have somebody who's selling a basketball card, and, it's a decent price or whatever, and if you go and look at their sell items and all they have is a bunch of basketball cards, well, this is something, somebody who's selling basketball cards. But if you go out there and, they're selling some shoes and they're selling some of some toys and some shirts and stuff, it might be somebody cleaning out their closet, and you have more room to move than somebody who's, maybe a diehard collector. So does that make any sense, Jason?
Yeah, absolutely, because you could have somebody that's just, like you said, clean out a closet, maybe had a death in the family, they're just trying to get rid of stuff. Or you could have the person, like you said, that's a full-time dealer that's like, hey, I don't need to save or give 10% off. Somebody else will buy it in a month for full price. So, yeah, I mean, that's definitely a good point. Different types of buyers and different types of sellers, you can definitely find some deals.
And also at a show, and this is all pre-COVID stuff, but, if you go to the show and the guy's got all these nice fancy cases and he's got all these super high-dollar cards, or if you go by the guy and he's got, maybe a display case and a whole bunch of boxes, it looked like he just, cleaned out his closet and brought everything with him.
Right.
You never know what you're going to find. Those are interesting, too. I've gone to the National, and, you have both, and I'm sure, Jason, you've seen it, too. You have both of them, ones with all the high-dollar cards and everything else, and then you have, the little flea market there, right there at the, a few tables. So, you can spend hours going through it and finding the diamond in the rough. So those are fun too.
Right. I want to give one last tip, and this one is completely from my wife. When we were having the conversation the other day, she said she's also noticed that when you add say you add an item to your watch list, and the seller sends you an offer for, 10% off, unwatch it, and then rewatch it, and there's a chance that you'll get a different offer. Could be more, could be less off, because the seller only sees you as a new watcher. They don't see you as somebody that left and came back, if that makes sense. So
yeah, it does.
They see you as a second person, not somebody that's making the loop back around.
Right, yeah. So when, as a seller, let me see here. You can see.
She said she's actually gotten better deals by, unwatching and then rewatching. So.
Yeah. So as a seller, you have views and watchers. I can't see anything more than that. So that's a good tip. I have not. I've tried that sometimes, but I haven't seen any benefit from that. But that doesn't mean I shouldn't continue to try it. So
you know what? It's one of those things where if it happens once, it's probably worthwhile.
No, definitely.
You know what I mean?
Because I think, with eBay's, there are some auctions, but a lot of it has gone to buy it now.
Yeah,
and,
for sure.
You are cruising around and you find something you like and you watch it. So, you do get your watchers. And I think you can only send an offer one time to folks. And I think it's got to be the 10%. If you're like me, I have a long list of stuff that I'm watching, but I am, but I'm not, kind of a thing. I guess I'm watching to see maybe if it drops down to, something.
Right.
And the way I do the way I buy my cards usually is I am buying and selling stuff. So I don't really buy anything unless I have money in my account. And the only way to get money in my account is to sell stuff. So I try to keep it kind of self-contained. So it could be that I'm watching stuff and it's like, well, this is stuff I'd like to get if I,
right.
End up selling something big, whatever, and I can snatch up a couple of these. So. But that's a great tip. Another thing going on, Jason, is Panini Prizm Racing is getting ready to drop. I believe it's supposed to drop last week, but I haven't really seen any sales or any items listed on eBay. And on Panini's website, it actually has a countdown clock to Wednesday, the 14th, to sell. So I don't know if it was a week later or what, but this is the third of 4 products for this year. National Treasures I think is coming up next month, and actually Panini's got on their blog, they had some I don't know if it was quality control or whatever, it had some pictures of their stuff. So it seems like we didn't have anything, well, because of the pandemic or whatever, but
right,
nothing going on the first half of the year, and then all of a sudden we had Chronicle, Prizm, and then National Treasures. So National Treasures is usually out of my price point, so Chronicles and Prizm. Still haven't opened any Chronicles. Trying to get some, but I'm trying to get a blaster or whatever. Hasn't been any luck yet. But to say, so Prizm is getting ready to drop. Prizm seems like that's one of those brands that people collect, even maybe if they're not even into racing. That I had some folks reach out to me asking about the Prizm. They definitely love the $120 price point. They said for that price point, they can buy a few boxes. They don't need to make a ton of money. So we'll see how that does for them. I told them to report back to me to let me know. Always interested in everybody's experiences with the product. Have you seen any of the pictures yet, Jason?
I have seen some. Still my favorite card, their favorite design that they've carried through is that, I don't know what it's called, like Color Blast or whatever that thing was called.
Yes, that's going to be.
I feel like a rookie right now, but
no, that's going to be new this year.
Well, they've carried it through because they did it with baseball, basketball, and football, and I loved it. And I'm such a baseball fan. I was mad because the new logos, but I'll definitely try to pick up a couple of the racing ones. But these are pricey, or at least they can be, because these are pretty hard pulls. I don't know if they're the case hit or something like that, but they're not easy pulls.
So one of my sites is racingcardinfo.com. I've got the checklist up on there. Shameless plug. But so the Color Blast is 5 cards. Earnhardt Jr., Haley Deacon's got a Color Blast. That would be crazy. Joey Logano, Chase Elliott, and Jimmy Johnson. So I thought they were actually included with the base, but I was thinking of the stained glass. Those look interesting to me. I would imagine the Prizm version of that would look really cool with that reflective. So, and some of these I'm familiar with Prizm, but not Prizm in the other brands. So the Apex set, the Dialed In, I'm familiar with. Fireworks set, the National Pride is something I've seen in other sets. The Next Level set, that looks like maybe like the rated rookies. It's Christopher Bell, Cole Custer, John Hunter Nemechek, Brandon Poole, Tyler Reddick, Joe Graf Jr., Jesse Little, Riley Hurst, Harrison Burton, and Haley Deegan. Haley Deegan's got a few cards. So there's a profile set, Stars and Stripes, that's another one, endorsements, those are autographs. So there's a couple of new insert sets. There's some name variation. Well, I don't know if they're name variations yet or it just has base variations. So Denny Hamlin, Ryan Blaney, Bubba Wallace, Jimmy Johnson, Kyle Busch, Haley Deegan. But then what's interesting is card 100, Dale Earnhardt Jr., 101, Richard Petty, 102, Danica Patrick, and 103, Tony Stewart. So we'll have to see what that means. You know, they kind of drop their Excel checklist, and you have to kind of work your way through it and digest it, try to, figure stuff out. So there's a ton of parallels. This is something I think they're getting up there with the other sports now. Back in 2016, there was only a handful of colors, blue and green and red and rainbow. And I think the red, white, and blue, I might be missing one, and then gold. But now, I feel like the basketball. What's that one that somebody said was like 20 or 30 different parallels?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's just, that's the whole point of the Prizm is the rainbow. I mean, so I'm not surprised that it's happened. I guess my thing, I would love to see, a set number. Like, okay, people that collect, okay, there's 9 slots on a page. Let's do, 8 parallels on the base or, something like that where it's more collector friendly. But, it is what it is. That's how it is with Mosaic and all the other ones, Topps Chrome. So it's just the hobby now, just the industry.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, if they had, 9 or 18 or I don't know how many people put cards in sheets anymore. I was doing the Boots baseball, putting them in sheets and, either put the ones that are in parallel or, opposite than the normal cards, like in one section or so that you weren't turning back and forth or whatever. But
right.
And that made me actually think of, there's a Pioneers of Racing set. They actually did that. Part of the set is one way, and then the other part of the set is the other way. So one is vertical, and the other whole section is horizontal. So, but the Prizm set looks good. They've got some rookies in there that I've noticed that were also in the Chronicles. Some of the ARCA drivers, so Michael Self and I think it's Brett Holmes are running for the championship in the ARC series. But we also have Christian Eckes and Jesse Little's in there as well, and Brittany Zamora. So, and last week we had a call I was on the Zoom call with Panini, and they mentioned that they're going to have the 27 Panini car has its own card in the Prizm set. So I'm curious to see what that's going to look like. Yeah.
Now, something like that, I think it is cool to have the different parallels when it's kind of that, not oddball, but it's, kind of a standalone type of thing. When it's the whole set has 17 parallels, and it's like, is it overkill or is it not? Every collector has their own opinion, but something like that, I definitely think it's cool to have the different parallels when there is that one-off or something that's a really good photo. A couple years ago, I can't remember exactly which year, it was either 17 or 18, there was a Jimmy Johnson Donruss card where he had all the trophies pictured in it. Like, I thought that was a cool card. I tried to pick up a couple parallels, stuff like that. But when it's the whole set, it's overkill to me, but, it's my opinion.
Well, one of you bring that up. Actually, in 2016, card 100, that last card, is a group shot of everybody in the chase that year. And that is one of the hardest cards to find in any color. So
that's awesome to me, because then I'm like, people appreciate that stuff. So seems like people are holding on to them.
Right, and so there are a lot of collectors are driver collectors. So that card features, 12, 16 drivers on it. 16 drivers, 16 driver collectors are all looking for it. So trying to find a green or blue or red parallel of that card is hard. I found one out on Check My Cards. I think I picked it up for $1 or $2, and I think I put either $14 or $20 on it. And sure enough, it sold.
It's one of those things where it's funny because it wouldn't be me, but could you imagine if you were somebody that collected, several drivers, and you had 4 guys on that card, and you're like, oh man, I gotta, buy 4 of each version, or whatever. So, but yeah, you're right. I think something like that is great when it's that base card mentality of it's just a cool card, it's a cool photo, a cool whatever. So
yeah,
awesome.
and I thought I could replace it, but I have not had any luck trying to find another one. So those are the cool little things. So we'll see. But the 2020 Prizm, you're going to get 4 autographs in a box. I think it's 12 cards a pack, 12 packs a box. And for those buying cases, 12 boxes a case. And the retail configuration is 4 cards a pack, 6 packs a box, and 20 boxes a case. So I opened some 2016 Prizm. I put the video out on the Racing Card Info YouTube, and it was back in 2016. It was 6 packs of 4 cards. The one thing I will say is that people are giving it a knock because they're sticker autographs, and I haven't been able to confirm this or not, but I think last year or maybe the year before, some of the autos either weren't sticking well on the card.
Yeah, okay.
So this is maybe a reason why they went to stickers. I know National Treasures is on card, but, that's a different stock as well, so it's not that shiny stuff. So just to let everybody know that those will be possibly sticker autos, but I don't know if that is I guess for the diehard guys, I know Press Pass had a big thing about on card isn't hard, but with everything going on with COVID and then trying to make sure the autos are good, because the last thing you want to do is get an autograph and be the streaky or runny or whatever.
Right.
But 4 autos, that's a whole lot better than 2 autos and 2 memorabilia. I think in 2016 they had memorabilia and autos. So
yeah, for whatever reason, Prizm memorabilia cards don't seem to catch on for anybody. Even in the other sports, even a couple years ago, maybe 17 or 18, for football, they had rookie, and they might do this every year, but I'm just pulling from one that I know. They had rookie memorabilia cards, and value and selling price, there's no comparison between those and, even the base rookie cards. So for whatever reason, the Prizm memorabilia cards just don't hold a ton of value and don't seem to be of interest to a lot of people.
Gotcha. The article here that I'm looking at is they're saying that the blasters you get 3 inserts and 1 bonus pack with 3 exclusive parallels. So they are continuing that parallel set in the blasters.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about the Prizm. Of course, we don't, like I said, we only get a couple of releases a year, so you kind of can pace yourself and pick and choose which you want to collect. So I noticed that Chronicles, I think, has dropped a little bit in price. I don't know if it's like at 110 or 109. I think SMR was SRM. Special retail price, SRP. I'll get it right. Well, it was like 120, so it's dropped a little, but it has not gone to $800 or anything like basketball or whatever it is now.
Right.
So it's definitely affordable. The color blasts look amazing. I would have to see about either. So I guess that's something it's going to be almost really impossible to try to make a 5-card set, if that's the case.
It's not impossible, just not cheap. And we talk all the time that the NASCAR stuff, the value is, maybe half of what a baseball, basketball, or football would be. So that's a good thing for the racing collectors. But I mean, it's still not going to be cheap for a 5-card insert set. I mean, I would think at least, I don't even want to say a number because I know it's going to be wrong, but I would think at least $25 or $30 a card. But we'll see.
Okay. And I guess, if you could be patient, you can collect on a budget. Because I'm thinking, okay, Prizm's coming out now. Maybe you should look at, at Chronicles. If there's something you wanted in Chronicles, probably now's the time to look at that. Or in the Donruss. I actually was thinking about maybe looking at some of the slingshots from, that wasn't last year, I think maybe it was the 2018. Those were case hits. I think Downtowns were case hits. Right, Downtown? Is that, I think I've seen people going crazy on Twitter for the football cards and whatever. I
think that's correct.
So, while we talk about Prizm, you do you, and you don't have to, spend thousands and thousands of dollars to collect or, to enjoy the hobby. So while the Prizm is awesome, patience always wins too. So, well, I think that's where we're going to leave it for today, Jason. We have the races coming up this weekend, so it's going to be interesting to see. Anybody who wins of those 8 will secure themselves into the Final Four. That's pretty exciting. We have, like I said, recapping with Haley Deegan. It's really curious to see how she does and what that does for her cards. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Would greatly appreciate it if you give us a review or share the podcast to help other folk learn about NASCAR trading cards. I definitely have started to see some more interest. I don't know if it's because of the pricing or it's affordable or that it's getting down to the playoffs and baseball and basketball are ending. But thanks again, everybody, for listening. Jason, thank you so much. Any final words for you, sir?
I have nothing else today. I thought we did a good show for not being around each other for a little while. But, Prizm's coming out today, actually, on the Panini website and probably in retail on Thursday and Friday. So it'll be interesting to see what happens and where some of these prices go with the crazy market that's out there right now.
Yeah, well, next week we'll talk about if they're still available for sale. I did notice that the Chronicles had sold out and disappeared from their website, so I'll be curious to see how Prizm does. We'll when we check in next week, we'll take a look and we'll break down the Prizm checklist better and the Chronicles, and as the season winds down, and maybe some other collecting topics. So again, thank you everybody for listening. Again, thank you, Jason. Everybody, may your retail shelves be full. Thanks for listening.